Hey there, chart friends. Lamont here from ChartGuys, checking in on the electric vehicle and a couple of battery names. So, starting off with Tesla, as we always do, the big dog. Still just sideways, It's not really not really doing much of anything. We're just range bound, watching this EQ get tighter and tighter. It's getting to the point where a break is imminent, right? Whether or not that break sees follow through is anyone's guess, but given how tight it is and how long it's been within this range, I would say it's likely to break with some gusto. And so if we bring in all of our drawings again, we were watching, well, let's start off with the larger time frame. So just as a reminder, we are watching this channel structure, okay? That's just in the back of our minds. We know that any bull break we will run into that trend line, which has been reactive in the past. And then on the shorter term time frames, below the daily EQ, we are just watching the hourly chart. So I mentioned the possibility of a breakout and then a backtest play, and it played out today, but not really with, again, there's just not a lot of range, right? So what we were looking for back then for that play was a break of multiple resistances at the same time. Whereas what we had here instead was really just like a meandering out, right? It broke out of the channel via time, really, instead of price, right? It just goes sideways along the x-axis to break out of the channel, as opposed to if it were to have broke out with, in a violent fashion and took out many of these resistances instead of just being rejected by the first one. Okay, so so while this backtest play, the backtest of the previous resistance line, it did work out. It's not something that I really would care for. The context is not ideal. We want that back test only when it's come down. I think like NIO has done that many times. I don't want to waste too much time, but that's just the concept, right? So to illustrate it, instead of breaking out sideways like this out of the channel, we wanted to see, for this backtest play, we wanted to see a break up and then come back down, test it like that. And then that usually gives you a good reaction. All right. So I was looking for it, just bottom fishing, and honestly, if not in a position, then I still prefer that. And realize too that these EQs that look so perfect, very often they can be kind of tricky, right? So actually, on the daily time frame, it has done that recently. Let me show you really quickly. Like here, you had this EQ here, and then it looked like we were just going to stay bullish, right? And even had a little bit of a breakout, fake out, and then we dumped back down, but we never took out these lows in this larger EQ formation. So there's the potential of that happening right now on a smaller time frame, right? If you look on maybe the 4-hour chart, or I guess the hourly chart's still best. You'll see we had this large EQ, and now these higher lows are holding up here, but there's no reason for these levels to not get tested again. So if you're looking for bottom fishing plays in 5-minute oversold conditions, then I think bottom fishing off of either of these levels is still very valid. And if you can get down here into the channel support and hourly oversold conditions, I think that would be a good opportunity as well. Okay. And so tomorrow it would be right around there. If price were to dump down right away, then I still like this trade. Just remember, make the adjustments tomorrow, right? Because if we bounce up and cool off the RSI, then the RSI will not be extended down here anymore. All right, so bottom fishing plays off of these supports are on the table. If things get extreme, down here is also a place, but we will likely have, little pauses here, little dead cat bounces, if anything, dead cat bounces here, right? So it's very unlikely that we will just dump straight down into this channel support. I mean, it's possible, but it's unlikely. It's more likely that we'll break down, bounce a little bit, maybe reject from there, break down like this, right? This is like something like this is more likely than just a straight drop. All right. So, aggressive bulls can be making plays off of any of these bounces because the potential of them developing into an actual bounce is there, right? Who knows? That could happen. Don't know, right? So if you want to be if you're very active, if you're very aggressive, then you can be looking for plays before we even get down there. All right, make plays the whole way down. All right, so key supports right now would just really be the last daily low. So I would say that I don't, because the hourly trend when we're in this tight consolidation, I don't really pay too much mind to it unless we get a big move, right? Then we'll look for a higher low or a lower high play. But the key supports going into tomorrow really just going to be this daily low here of 819.10, and the key resistance will be 868, and then of course all-time high resistance, right? So whichever way we break out of the EQ, we need to break those two key levels in order for any follow-through. All right, and if we were to break bearish, then we would be looking to potentially grab a weekly higher low, and if we break bullish, we'll be mindful of this channel resistance to potentially look to take profits at. All right, so NIO bulls are basing over this previous highest close structure, right? And we're watching this channel that is containing price action very well, right? So we continue to reject from this macro channel's previous support, now resistance, and we are looking for a weekly higher low. No, I'm sorry, not quite yet. So the previous weekly low of 55.67 has yet to break, so we're not looking at that yet. But we are being mindful of this daily downtrend, right? Although the bulls are playing defense right off of this base structure, so maybe we won't get that deep. Either way, we're just going sideways now for the past few days, and we'll be mindful of the hourly trend as our guide. You can see we have, again, we've broken out of this channel, but just through time. So I would not through really price action, right? Not really a violent breakout to the upside. It's really just sideways. So I have less conviction of this breakout. I still like this trade down here if we were able to get down there. Otherwise, now for me personally, I would just wait for if this move were to break to the upside and create space for a higher, hourly higher low, then that's probably the next trade that I would want to position for, right? So key supports going into tomorrow, scaling in like that. So key supports going into tomorrow will be this. It's gonna still be this shelf, this green shelf that we're looking at. This is really the line in the sand level because it made for all these tops before, and now finally price broke over it, and we're back testing now. So either we'll break out of this sideways range and come back down and test this and put in some more volume down here, which I don't know. I'm kind of I don't I don't know why, but I mean it would make sense because we would fill out this volume profile a bit, but it's the some reason. Call it a gut feeling, but don't see it happening. I don't know why. Either way, even if it were to occur, I still like this trade setup down here. So if you're looking bullish, you're either bottom fishing these lows, right, like this. Okay, so if we were to continue to tighten up right over above this base, we can be bottom fishing these lows. Okay, or if we break down, then you'll be looking for hourly oversold condition. Really, it's a matter of like what time frame are you trading, really, right? Like if you're looking to just trade the daily chart, I would just be patient and try to grab this. If the daily starts seeing some upside, same play, looking for a daily higher low. But if you're more short-term focused, then maybe you'll be bottom fishing these lows, right? And then maybe leaving a 20% runner or something for a potential maturation. Or if you're looking for an hourly play, then you probably want to wait for this structure to break out and then come back and look for a higher low play. All right, so a lot of different ways to approach NIO at this moment. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of like it's at a contentious area. It's consolidating sideways, so it opens it up to a lot of different plays. All right, so Workhorse, I think there was some negative news. It saw a lot of downside overnight and then obviously led into a big bounce today. So we're still within, these two trend lines essentially, and we were looking for the potential of this to break bullish and get a follow-up play, or looking down here. So I didn't quite get it to, well, it wasn't even hourly oversold with without extended hours on, at least. Yeah, I don't use extended hours. I still prefer not to. So that being the case, now with that bounce, I would really move it to be down here. So ideally, if not in a position now, you would just be waiting for those conditions to get oversold again. And I think this is like the resistance line of like the lower end. Yeah, right. So it's just like a little, if you were to cut this rectangle in half, then it would be like, I guess you could call it the quadrant of this whole range. Right. Anyway, so yeah, we're looking for the potential of more downside. We're still back to, we know that we're range bound between this white rectangle and this green rectangle, right? The longer term chart, right? We're just going completely sideways, and we spent a lot of time now in this upper half. And so we're looking for the potential of this upper half to continue to be support if you didn't play off of here. If you did play off of here, you probably stopped out by now, right? You had plenty of opportunity to take some profit and then probably stopped out. But yeah, so this is the primary trade, or tomorrow's really still looking for that same idea, right? If we're able to break over this resistance line with some gusto, maybe backtesting these levels, then there's a play there, or looking deep. So it's very similar. Well, actually, it's just those two. There's no like sideways structure to really be bottom fishing. I guess you could be bottom fishing off of this low, looking for that higher low if we open up tomorrow as well. So actually, yeah, it's very similar to NIO. A lot of diversity in its setups. For me, because I'm lazy, I prefer to like put on high hit rate trades. I probably just set up this one if anything, because it's for me at least, it's easier to play those oversold bounces, because then when you get a little relief bounce going, and then you can chop it up for some profit. All right, so we're looking for the potential for the bulls to change the hourly trend tomorrow and break out of this trend line. If they're able to maintain this low of 22.29 and break to higher highs over 23.42, they'll change that hourly trend and set that daily higher low. This is really just one move down for me. So looking for that potential daily higher low over 1972. There's still quite a lot of space for them to do so. And I believe, looks like it's a little golden touch. A golden retracement. Okay. All right, so XPEV, I believe, got some kind of upgrade or something, not sure. So initially it was a bit of a red flag that we got this daily higher high with minimal follow through, but now today the bulls played defense, and so we're holding above this this white rectangle, which is marked off because it was an initial rejection level here, and you can see how that previous all-time high here acted as a step, right? So we were looking for that potential play to happen here, and it didn't. We failed. Now this is kind of like a second attempt, right? We've broken above it, and you can say we failed here again, but yet the bulls have rallied for another attempt. So, that's a pretty decent look, right? We are mindful of the potential. That's why this target box is up here. We are mindful of the potential of a weekly lower high to print, but on the daily chart, as long as we are holding over this base, it opens it up to that lower high to be a little bit higher. That weekly lower high, I should say, to be a little bit higher. So up here somewhere. So let's check out the hourly trend on this inside bar today, really just sideways. So we're just going to be mindful of this EQ. The key support here is 50.53 and the key resistance will be 55.68. If they're able to hold that low of 50.53, the bulls, I should say, hold this low of 50.53 and break to higher highs over 55.68, they'll change that hourly trend, but they will be contending with this resistance right here at 58.37. So ideally they'll get on one move and they'll see that break together. And so if looking for plays, I don't really love any plays for on the daily chart right now. I'd like to see a little bit more follow through on the daily chart before looking for a higher low. But for shorter term trades, you can be bottom fishing these levels over here. And that's why that box was here. And you can see it was effective today to be bottom fishing this range. So you can run it again, over and over again, as long as this base holds, as long as you have 5-minute oversold conditions, which I think you did have today. Correct, you did. So, I still like this play, same old play. If you can get 5-minute oversold conditions down into this level for XPEV, then I would take that. Otherwise, longer term traders are looking for a potential daily higher low if the daily bounce can see some follow through. And of course, bears are scouting for a weekly lower high as well against all-time high. All right, so Plug, I believe, had some short attack by Citron. I am primarily interested down here because, I'd like to see this gap fill. I would like to see just some more consolidation in general. I believe there's a trend line here all the way down here, and then so we can draw like a tighter one, I guess, for now. This, and so we'll just be mindful of that. We are to get that deep, we'll be mindful of that area, and of course, we'll be very mindful of this 36th level, as it was the last place where there was any kind of consolidation whatsoever. So that being said, even with the short attack, the Plug is holding up really well. Now, of course, the market had a continuation day today, but you look at this and it looks very flaggy, right? And that's why we have this channel up here. So we have this lower high here, but because the bears are not getting that much going, we're going to keep an open mind to the potential of this being a flag. All right, so we're watching this hourly structure. And if we were to get down down here in hourly oversold conditions, that is certainly something that I would be interested in making a play off of. So something like that. Aggressive bulls can be bottom fishing already, like off of these lows, looking for something up here. It would be a much more aggressive play, and you will want 5-minute oversold conditions at your back. All right, and just be mindful, that we are potentially going to affirm this channel. If we do, then we'll look for this median line test as well. But we've already had 2 median line tests as of late, recently, I should say. And so I feel like the potential of it holding again, the market very oftentimes gives you a second chance. It very rarely will give you a third chance. It's like a trader saying. So I just have a less inclination, right? You see here, right? One median line hold, a median line hold, and then bloop, dump down. Now, of course, the context is a little bit different because we're at the, near the resistance line of the channel, but, old adages are old adages, right? So aggressive bulls, I wouldn't fault you. Just, always manage your risk. And for me personally, I'm a little bit more conservative. I would just be waiting for down here in these first hourly oversold conditions after this big rip up. That's where I would like to see it. And alternatively, if we break out of this channel, it's the same idea as those other plays, right? If we break out of here, okay, we'll be mindful of that potential play as well. All right. So that's pretty much it. I think plug has yet to consolidate enough to look for weekly higher lows because this daily is just so tight. All right. And then ZAIR saw some more continuation today. You can see, look at that beautiful tap of that standard deviation band. I love it. I really do. But yeah, so we are looking for the potential of daily consolidation eventually, and now it's getting to the point where I would be very comfortable like being a little bit more aggressive with this play, not looking so deep. Although you can see over here that it does break the previous high, and that may be a liquidity issue, but yeah, I like this trade like this. Breaks below there, eh? So maybe we'll have it just, I still like it like this. I think that's fine. Okay, so whenever the daily consolidates, we can be looking for this trade, looking for that higher low, making sure that the hourly time frame is oversold, ideally, and it'll come up to meet price a little bit. So yeah, something like that. I feel like you could be a bit more aggressive with maybe shorten up the range. As this trade develops, we'll keep an eye on it, but the hourly needs to start consolidating first, which it just hasn't really done yet. So something like that maybe. Alrighty, I think that about covers it. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you all soon.